This particular lady I'm about to tell you about was in the same business, there she is, as her mother and her grandfather before her. Now, what you have to do is stop me, all right, when you know what it is that they sold in their business. I'm going to give you some clues, all right? We all want more of it. Okay? Some of us keep it better than others. It's invisible. Yeah.
Time.
Yes, it's the right answer.
They invented time?
No, they sold it.
I think I remember what William Hartnell looked like. It wasn't like that.
No, they sold it.
Oh, they sold it?
How would you sell time? How could you make a living selling...
What period?
They started in the 19th century and went all the way on up to 1940, 4 generations of the family.
Time shares. You get a flat in Malta for 2 weeks in a...
No.
Is this something to do with Bristol being 11 minutes behind
It's
London?
not exactly to do with that, but it's to do with the fact that in the 19th century it started to become more important to keep time, and there was only one clock, the Greenwich clock, that keeps the official GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. And this woman would go with her pocket watch, which is a very fine pocket watch, and she would, once a week, put the time right, and then wander around London, and people would pay to have a look at her watch. And she made money giving people the time. Businessmen had a subscription to her business.
It sounds very, very much like a scam, some sort of euphemism. And what is going on here? Hey, just looking at my watch, officer. In this dark alley.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Stop her to look at her watch?
Yeah, her name was Ruth Belville.
Her what?
It was a John Arnold pocket chronometer, number 485786. And they cornered the market in it from 1836 to 1940.
And there were only 3 of them ever did it. So
Well,
one person at a time.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky if you could find them.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, people could buy an annual subscription, and I guess they would go around and visit them in the same way that a sandwich company goes around to a
Like
to
an
a
alarm
firm
clock?
or they'd go around with the clock and say it's now exactly this, and the firm would settle their watches by it.
Where did they why did they decide on an hour? What was that? What was the Why an hour? Why not just, half an hour and make that an hour?
Because 24 is divisible in so many different ways.
It's very factorisable.
Divisible by 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 8.
10.
Exactly.
You could add 10.
No, 10 is only divisible by 1, 2, 5 in itself.
Only on one.
That's why 24.
If you go into another dimension, you could have anything you want.
Well, unfortunately, we weren't in another dimension.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Forgive me, but why was it important to divide 24 by 8?
Yeah.
Well, no, to have as divisible a system as possible.
Wouldn't it be 100? Why not have 100? Make it all up to 10.
If you want to do that, then you can have a plan to decimalise time,
I'm
if you like.
changing it. In fact, I'm going to live my own. I won't make my own.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to cross 2 of these off. Let's have a vote.
What should we
I'm going
vote
to get
off,
rid of
though? Read this number?
3 and 8.
Yeah.
Well, last night you joined the show.
You can't do 1 to 10 because then we'll never have 11s ever again.
So,
No, I'll leave it at 9s.
so look, can you just...
9s.
9s.
So what is your system? How many hours are in your day?
20.
20 hours of
Nice and
daylight.
simple. We call it a hurrah.
Right. Okay, a hoor. A hoor?
A hoor.
Strumpets. Size is a whore, I think.
20 strumpets.
Yeah. Well, there are a number of objections, obviously, that I'm not the one to make them. It originally was 12 hours because the Babylonians were the first really
Yeah, well,
to
what do
come
they
to it.
know?
Well, they... But they had a base 12 counting system.
Yes.
The French did try decimal time after their revolution.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they?
Ah, do you see?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Why did it not
I don't
work?
know. It maybe just didn't work because the rest of the world just cocked a snook at them and didn't like the
Is
idea.
it not like Betamax and VHS? They all went with 24, but
Maybe.
the French should have gone with 20, and nobody...
Well, the French...
When has the French ever worried about what the rest of the world thought?
Oh, absolutely.
But we have 10 fingers
Yes.
and 10 toes, and then you could count off the bits, the sections of time by each one of your digits, couldn't you?
What time is it?
What time is it? 1, 2, 3.5.
2 minutes past 4. What would that be then? About 6.
About 6, yeah.
Well, good luck. That could be an interesting line in merchandisable metric clocks.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the Bill Bailey QI metric clock.
Metric clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, that'll do me.
Anyway, we've just done an hour on that topic.
Yes. Yeah. Name some famous vegetarians for me.
Well,
Hitler.
Oh, dear.
there you go.
Everyone thinks he was, but he wasn't.
He is in my mind.
All right.
Napoleon. Not Derby.
I don't think so.
My tortoise died the other day, and I honestly considered having its leg on some toast.
Really?
And I just thought, I wonder how it tastes like. You obviously don't think like that.
No.
I know. It's a shame, isn't it? We had a tortoise once, and it had a very, very bad arthritis in its leg, and they said we can actually operate and replace it with a wheel. They do that, don't they?
Yeah. Actually, casters, so they can go in all directions.
Oh,
We thought about taking all his legs off and just putting wheels on all of them.
Yeah, that would have been wrong.
And then a little engine on the shelf. Send you down to shops for a paint.
Oh, yes, an aerial on a spring.
Well, you could put some peanuts on it.
I bet you couldn't do that. I bet you someone would object if you motorised a tortoise.
The RSPCA first.
Oh, because you can have lorries like political correctness gone mad, Jamie. Can't even mutilate a tortoise anymore.
What's suggested we mutilate it?
You know who would object?
Not a tortoise.
Vegetarians would object.
It could keep its legs. I'm thinking of some like a Bigfoot truck in America. With big wheels that could be detached so that it could be a tortoise and run around and eat weeds. And then
Its legs
and
go
then
up.
you could, when you wanted to go shopping, you could just send it off to the shop.
A transformer tortoise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's great big ones in the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, they're terrific.
They could bring quite big, substantial pieces of furniture back for you.
They are.
You could put wings on them and they could take off.
Yeah, you could, yeah. You could get those wheels you just...
tongue.
Anyway, that's good. Good talk. Mad, but good. And the Vegetarian Society claims that the word vegetarian comes from vegetus. Many things can influence the value of a house, but what instantly reduces the value of a house in America by a third?
O.J. Simpson lived there.
Third.
Five
Is that a tornado cutting it into thirds?
2/3 of it is on one side of the San Andreas fault.
I may say that what it is nonsense, but it's the kind of nonsense that Americans, unfortunately, quite often seem to believe in.
Like it's,
it's a
whether or not
portal
it's
to
near to a drive-in.
Portal to hell.
Well, kind of.
It's buried on a graveyard.
Haunted is the right answer. Haunted. Obviously, it won't be haunted because
There's no such thing as ghosts.
no such thing as ghosts, exactly. But the point is, the stigma of haunting is enough. If it's merely mentioned or that people seem to believe that there are ghosts there, then it will
I
reduce...
told you about the haunting.
Yeah. I told you about the
There
ghosts.
should be ghosts everywhere. I mean, so many of them. There should be ghosts. There should be dinosaur ghosts. There should be cow ghosts.
Exactly.
Sheep ghosts.
Yes. I know, that's
Worm
the
ghosts.
point.
Yeah, dinosaur ghosts. That's
Yeah.
a brilliant idea.
Tons of them. There should be stromatolite ghosts, rocks that used to live in the old days.
Anything like that. Exactly.
The most plausible thing I ever heard on the ghost front is the idea it can be the atmospheric thing like a lightning bolt or something. It's because of a peculiarity in a magnetic force.
Yes,
and these
no, you're
people are
right.
unaware that they're ghosts, and that's why they appear to float or walk through doors, because as far as they're concerned, the door isn't there. And I can kind of... I can kind of buy that.
This is
I can buy that
yeah.
people's brains are affected by magnetic fields, and there are certain circumstances where it is quite common for people to feel chill and dread and to hallucinate and indeed to die, and this is quite
Yeah,
common
what
in
a night
houses.
that was.
This is quite common. And that's carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh.
From bad gas
Heaters,
boilers
yeah.
and so on. And it causes all those symptoms. But as for dead people coming back, no.
There should be dead cows. No one ever says.
Exactly.
And,
I so agree with
the
you.
meat
I'm with
packing
you.
district in New York.
Yeah,
should be
why
tons
do you
of
draw the
cows
line?
there.
Suddenly it's only human
Well,
beings.
because if you're passing a field and you see a cow in it, you don't say, that's a ghost. They by and large
Hang
don't
on.
turn up
If
in
you
your
saw it in your
bedroom.
house, you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you saw it in your house, but cows aren't going to be in the house.
They are because they've been turned into
Houses are
houses
built on
in New
all
York.
kinds of pieces of land.
Please, I'm not advocating for the
okay.
ghost party over here.
I love the idea of the ghost party. Whoa! The other parts, they're just scaremongering.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, first appearance of the pipe. The pipe in high definition for the first
high
time.
def pipe.
What happened to pipes? That's where they went.
I love pipes.
Would you like to meet the last ever winner of the Pipe Smoker of the Year? How do you do?
My answer is going to be no.
Did you affect a
pipe
pipe
smoker.
for a period?
The first cue I was about to start as a series, and I was asked to do some press for it. And I left the house to go to wherever it was this interview was.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realised I had no cigarettes. And in those days, I was a smoker. and I thought, oh, and I just saw a pipe and some tobacco. And I thought, oh, I'll grab that, put it in my pocket.
You just saw pipe just lying there in the street?
No, in my house as I was leaving. And 2 days after the Independent article opened, I was asked if I would be the pipe smoker of the year. Would you accept it? I said, yes. Yes, absolutely.
It confers a kind of respectability, I think.
Well,
that's
trustworthiness.
I never think you can truly give directions without a pipe, and that's why I envy you that, Bill. So,
Yes.
No, really.
Oh, well, yeah.
Could you tell me where the station is? Oh, yeah.
What do you do?
And recognising a friend. Great job for that.
I think...
Now, a good haunting can knock a third off the value of an American house.
Thank you for watching.
Okay. Marcel Proust.
À la recherche du temps perdu.
Very good. Now, why did Marcel Proust have such a limp handshake? There he is. There's Marcel.
He hasn't slept for about 5 years, look at him.
See, I feel bad saying this, but I know he was a known homosexual.
He was well gay.
No, I don't. Well, he was well gay. But I don't want to say that he had the limp handshake because he was gay. It's like saying he loved to buy scatter cushions and just throw them around the gaff of the weekend. I mean, it seems a really, reductive thing to say, but I don't know if it's...
There are types of gay who go around in muscle vests and are very butch, and there are types of gay, like Marcel, who are rather limp-wristed and who like ornament and design. He famously wrote only in a cork-lined room. He was very sensitive. And so, but...
He was very buoyant.
Buoyant.
He could go to sea at any time.
Yes,
he could set sail.
He could write anywhere in the world. Oceans, anywhere.
Yes.
I'm going to offer a thought.
Yeah.
OK?
Right.
He, being gay, spent a lot of time in North Africa.
Tangiers.
North Africa!
And one of the things that I discovered when I spent time in Africa...
Are you coming out? Is this a coming out story? Because if it is, that'll be the picture, so just watch out.
Why not? Tonight could be the night, you're right.
Could be the night.
I know your party's behind you.
Yeah, indeed. It's fine.
Yes, Joe.
I'm going to suggest this. When I went to Africa, I was quite disconcerted to find that traditionally the African handshake is not simply very soft, but it lingers. Shake my hand.
Oh, it's just an excuse again.
No, I think...
The injunction, Giles.
In Europe, we shake hands In Europe, we shake hands like that. I think in Africa, we shake hands like this, and we hold the hand. I have a lot of experience of this.
Stop it.
He's a dementor.
He's glued me. I can't get out.
I don't wish to name drop, but I went to interview Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and he held my hand like this for a long, long time.
Did he?
And he was saying to his age, who is this again?
I'm thinking that Marcel Proust spent time in North Africa and rather liked this tradition and brought it back with him to Paris.
It's an interesting idea. I have no evidence that Proust went. I know that André Gide went to North Africa.
That's what I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of André Gide. But, never mind.
You sweated on my hand for that?
André Gide was out and proud. He was probably the man who invented the word homosexual, as it were, in his book Corridon. And he was out. Marcel was not out. Marcel was embarrassed and ashamed of being gay, and indeed he went to brothels to try and cure himself.
We've all tried that.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
The North Africans hold a hand like that, my darling.
No, it was a sort of double bluff is the only way I can explain it. He had a friend, a Romanian count, who said to him, look, I can teach you how to do a more manly handshake. Then people won't think that you're an invert, as the word was then.
Invert?
An invert,
That was a gayer.
A gayer, yeah. And Marcel Proust said, no, if I do that, people will think I'm trying to look straight. Oh. Whereas if I confidently... I'm all limp.
It's a double bluff.
It's a double bluff.
Thank you for
One of the
watching.
problems faced by explorers, as you can probably imagine, is that of language. Alan and Bill, I would like you two to imagine that you are two of the pilgrim fathers who've arrived on the Mayflower in the coast of the United States or America.
Right.
And I would like Rich and Sean to imagine you are Native Americans who meet them. How? You can use sign language if you like. would you communicate?
I would immediately read from the Book of Common Prayer. Hail, savage.
Hi, how are you?
What's that, Toby jug?
Yes.
Where's the pub?
Foaming pint of beer.
Humity, hoppatimity, itimity, never mind the buzzcocks. Jonathan Creek. What's about? Habate pata, I can't believe my eyes.
Not just never mind the buzzcocks, other things as well. Do stand-up. Ha 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 ha. Piano. Playing in hotels.
You think you're the first explorers here, don't you? Where do you think these eyeglasses came from?
The extraordinary thing is, between them, Rich and Bill are absolutely right. The first thing said by one of the Native Americans who met the Plymouth Brethren was, could I have some beer? In English. He asked for beer in English.
He met the Indian, did?
Yes. He spoke fluent English. He'd crossed the Atlantic 6 times. This was in 1620. America had been visited by others. The Pilgrim Fathers were not the first people to land in America by any means.
It's a trick question, wasn't it?
Yeah, his name was Squanto, the best known of them.
Yes.
But this particular one was called Samoset, and he spoke very good English.
Somerset.
What did he say then? Get off my land!
Have you got some cider?
You bloody Pilgrim Fathers, get off my land!
He learned his English from fishermen and from his friend
And the
Squanto.
archers.
And from the archers, probably, as well.
Sure. Are you buzzcocks? That's what he said.
But instead of getting beer, he got cheese and a bit of duck. And they both helped the Pilgrim Fathers survive their first year because they had nothing to eat when they arrived. And all there was Maine lobster, which is now a delicacy, but they thought was hideous.
But they were in terrible strife, weren't they? And they were about to starve.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, actually, you can have here's some turkey.
Yes.
And the full
And some cranberries.
And then they killed them all. With guns.
Unfortunately, yes. There was 50 years of peace, though. In fact, Squanto brokered a peace that lasted for 50 years. They lived together very happily. He was an interesting fellow, Squanto. He was kidnapped from his village by a British captain around 1605, which was 15 years before the Mayflower sailed. And he lived in England for 9 years. And then he returned home on another British ship. Then another British captain kidnapped him and tried to sell him into slavery in Spain. He was rescued by some Spanish friars, escaped back to London, took ship again, this time to Newfoundland, found it was too far to walk home, so he sailed all the way back to England. The following year, he signed up for an exploratory expedition to New England and crossed the ocean again. By the time he had crossed the Atlantic 6 times, he was fluent in English.
King Eystein the Fart.
Is that meant to say Einstein, but he...
No, it is
got it wrong.
Eystein.
Einstein
The fart.
So he farted once. No, the fart is Norwegian. Speedy, fast, speedy, quick.
Oh, so it's just a typo. Really.
Lost a little,
It's correct in Norwegian.
lost a little bit in the translation.
He travelled a lot. And he was also the first source we have in writing of ice skating. He described his own ice legs. Exactly.
Yeah, ice legs.
But he was succeeded by his son, whom you will like, who has one of the best names, I think, of any king, Halfdan the Mild.
Half a mile brings Dan, isn't that?
Halfdan the Mild.
Yeah. Foreign policy was like, be fine.
Right, let's go to King Ragnar. Why was he called what he was called?
Hairy breeches.
Was he very hairy?
He wore hairy breeches.
Breeches?
Oh, did he really?
His wife made them out of animal hide, and they supposedly were there to protect him. But as you can see, he's here being killed. And how's he being killed?
By his own trousers. He didn't kill the animals before he made the clothes.
His Viking ship capsized off the coast of Northumbria, and he was thrown into a pit of poisonous snakes.
What, in Northumbria?
By the King of England, who was at the time King Ella.
Where did he find these poisonous snakes from then in
Adders.
Northumbria?
Yeah, but that wouldn't
Well,
really...
adders that would give you a bit of an itch. They're not
It
really
may be a made-up story, but
Yes.
Ragnar was eventually avenged by his son, who was called Ivar the Boneless.
That's a great name, I'll be that.
He'd be called Ivar the Viagra these days.
Get through railing.
Yeah. And he got his revenge on King Ella. It's a brilliant superpower. Didn't one of the Fantastic Four have that?
In Valiant comic, there used to be Janus, who was an escapology.
The bottom with a J in front.
And he could, yes, that's right. And he could get through tiny gaps.
Oh. There you go.
Janus. Every week, he seemed to be in a situation...
A janal
where
situation.
It would be really helpful if he could get through a tiny gap. How the writers kept coming up with these scenarios where the only solution was for Janus to get through a tiny gap, but he was always going through drain grids and that sort of thing.
And avoiding the door that was open. Oh, no. That'd be too easy, wouldn't it?
Quite often he'd forgotten his keys.
That's King Raglan, the hairy bitch, has been killed by King Ella, looking down on him, in a pit. But he was avenged by having his ribs opened and his lungs spread out against his chest, which was known as...
Boneless did.
And it was called the... Say again?
What was it?
The Blood Eagle, yes. Very good. Audience, 10 points.
And was he...
He wasn't that boneless if he had a rib cage, then.
No, he did it to his...
Oh, he
man
did
who
it to
killed his
someone
father.
else?
Yeah,
But presumably,
Yeah.
this person was... it was against his will.
Yes,
It wasn't just go then, please.
I saw a documentary about heart surgery, and to get through the sternum, they used a power saw.
Oh, I know, it's
it's quite hard to get in there.
Yeah.
Or a little toffee hammer, and it takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
It's a very small power saw. I mean, it's not a great big
right,
one.
it's
It's not a logging thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tiny...
But when you're over a certain age, they can't risk doing that to you anymore, and they actually go up through the thigh. Well, not the penis.
Got through the penis. Keyhole surgery.
Keyhole surgery, very good.
Requires a steady hand, obviously.
Don't be absurd. They go up through the anus.
Oh,
dear.
So sorry, Stephen.
They got through a major...
yeah, like your mate through the tiny cracks.
I was called
I've
James.
got a job for you, James. There you go. Oh, God, steady, chap.
Stephen, now, I've got a question about farts.
Oh, yes.
Do you think that farts smell before they come out?
I'm not going in to find out.
Quite a philosophical one from you.
If you went up someone, when Janus goes up...
Hold on.
You wouldn't have to hold your nose, is what I'm saying. You'd be free to use both hands.
If you have a colonoscopy... If you were to have a colonoscopy, you know, 24 hours before, you have to take these unbelievably powerful...
hallucinogenics. I'm being taken by a space octopus.
There's a famous kind of jumping that originated in Polynesia.
Bungee.
Bungee jumping. How did that begin?
It was the tribesmen with the twines.
Yes.
Twine themselves up.
They used vines.
Yeah, vines, twines.
Vine, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Slang, wasn't
Vine,
it?
twine, Twine, vine.
Yeah, no, they're vines, and they tie it around, and then they jump, but they didn't sort of...
They tie it around that ankle.
It would go into the mud. The heads go into the...
Exactly, and we have film of precisely that. Here you are. It's pretty scary. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
not an idiot.
The thing about...
All the women are laughing their heads off.
That's the Pentecost Islands in the South Seas where it was first observed. And do you know who brought it to the world's attention?
Butlins.
No. It was David Attenborough, 50 years ago, did a documentary in which he showed this. And then Oxford Dangerous Sports Society started doing it off Clifton Suspension Bridge.
Yes.
But the first official bungee jumping was done by A.J. Hackett.
in New
Zealand.
Zealand. Exactly.
Queenstown. Oh, yeah.
Near Queenstown. There's the bridge, and you're about to see a superhero, a man of astounding courage and bravery, do a bungee jump off the original A.J. Hackett Bridge. There he is. Can you see him there? He's fat. It's me! There I am. That was me bungee jumping just earlier this year, in fact.
Goodness me.
And do you know, the weird thing is, I am the biggest coward in the world. The moment I was picked up by the relief boat that picks you up, I said, I want to do it again. The adrenaline surge is so enormous. It is the biggest fun I've ever had.
And does it pull at your ankles?
The major problem usually is detached retinas, actually.
Yes.
People get pop-eyed.
What about when we went scuba diving and your mask was too tight? Remember that?
Yeah, I don't
His eyes nearly came out of his head. He was inside the mask. And these massive eyes. We're all going, look at Bill. Check he's all right, check he's all right. And when we found out it was all right, I laughed.
No, can I just... Wait, well, rewind. Can we just go back to the bit where you said, when you checked we were all right, you laughed my head. You were laughing from the minute my face came out of the water. There was blood. There was blood pouring out my eyes.
You had no idea? You had no idea?
I had no idea. I was
Couldn't
going,
feel
what?
anything.
People were going, oh my God. I went, what? Like Carrie or something with blood streaming from my eyes.
You did get eyeballs. But it took quite a long time for them to recede as well.
Yes, it did. A lot of laughing was going on.
I thought you had some sort of magnifying mask on, but when he took the mask off, they were still enormous.
Aren't they lovely?
Are they all married to each other?
They're Mormons.
Oh, right.
They're members of the Church of Latter-day Saints, I think they call them. And what teeth!
Beautiful.
They were rubbish, weren't
Were they? Oh, they?
Apart from little Jimmy Osmond, he was a long-haired lover from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And of course, it was Big Graham Osmond, the one they kept in the attic.
Who had terrible teeth.
He had one massive
yellow
like
teeth.
Claw.
Yeah.
But he wrote all the songs. By groaning them. He groaned them into a tin can that was connected by a piece of string.
Wild horses,
Crazy
They're very bad. And
What was that, Graham?
Bring me another wife!
Now,
My wife! I'm allowed up to 9, Bill Bailey said! Bring her up 4! I've only got 8! I'm allowed to have many!
behave. Pull yourselves together at once. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
What a great idea! That's a great idea for an episode of Doctor Who, isn't it? Doctor Who goes into the attic and finds the elderly secret brother of the hospital. And that's how they kill off David Tennant. Imagine that.
Nobody's supposed to... Is that the plot of the Christmas show?
Played by Bill Bailey!
Now, enology. Blindfolds on, please.
What? Ring a ding ding.
Here we go. Everybody got blindfolds on?
Hold on. Yes.
So, we're going to place something in front of you. It's nothing dangerous at all. It's actually rather pleasant.
Is it a kitten?
It is even nicer than a kitten. So, we're just going to put your hands... Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Right. So, we're going to do one at a time, please. So, Bill, I would like you to taste what you have in front of you and tell me what it is.
OK. All right, then. OK.
What do you think that is?
Oh, it's a wine.
Yes, what kind of wine?
A red or white?
Yes, please.
Oh, red.
You're going to go red, are you? OK, Phil, have a glass, have a sip. It's right in front of you.
I'm looking for the cheese. OK, all right.
What have you got? Red or white?
It's a red.
Red, OK. And Claudia, what do you reckon it is?
We've had white and red. What else could it be?
Is it
giving you a clue.
rosé?
Yes.
Alan, what do you reckon yours is?
Disgusting.
It's a low budget. What do you reckon it is? Don't look, don't look.
Red.
Red, you're going to go red. It is to do with our inability, actually, mostly, to taste what it is. So, Bill, yours is a room temperature white, so most people would think it was red because it is a
it was
room
too confusing,
temperature. Yeah. Phil, you had a chilled red.
A chilled red,
So
yeah.
that is sometimes it's difficult to tell. And I have to say, Claudia, yours is the most complicated because it's a mix of white and red. So when you said rosé, I actually think you got it the nearest. And Alan's, yours is a white wine with red food colouring because we thought you might cheat. But there was a Californian wine grower called Robert Hodgson, and he was upset by how inconsistently his wine fared in competitions, and he thought that maybe the experts don't really know what they're doing. So he did an experiment in which he served the same wines to the same experts at different times, and the findings, they were absolutely stunning as far as the wine industry was concerned. Only 10% of the judges were consistent in any given year, and none of those were consistently consistent. So if you made a good judgment one year, maybe you didn't make a good judgment the next year. And he found that in California, all the medals given out for wine were effectively distributed at random because really even the experts weren't sure. And it can even be difficult to tell red from white in a blindfold test.
Who is the coolest, grooviest, hippest cat on the show tonight?
David Tennant, I would have thought.
Yeah. I'm going for Belton.
Yeah, could be. What do we know about these words?
They're jazz words.
Many of them are jazz words. And how old are they?
Since the 20s, 30s?
Early...
40s?
No, earlier. Stone Age.
Let's take the word cool. When did it first mean, like, fashionable, do you think?
60s beatnik poet era.
Hitler.
Oddly enough, it was the year Hitler came to power, 1933, but I don't think that's quite relevant.
These new uniforms are cool.
Bizarrely.
So this is Christmas.
I'm Johnny's in Nazi Party. They're cool, Daddy-o.
Cool, Daddy-o.
Bizarrely, it was 1933.
And besides, I have no choice.
Yeah.
I burned down the Reichstag. Cool. Jazz Nazis.
It was the West Coast School of... But it was the West Coast...
Jazz Nazis are used both ways.
It was the West Coast School of Relaxed Jazz led by Miles Davis, and his album The Birth of the Cool was 1957, which, oddly enough, is the year I was born.
How extraordinary.
So maybe I am cool.
Cool.
I love that if you saying all that as a chat-up line in a nightclub.
Yeah.
Do you know who the coolest person in the room is tonight? No, let me explain. 1933. Cut to 2 hours later,
so cool.
and that, madam, is why I am cool. Can I get to another move?
Where's she gone?
Don't go.
How do you get an ant to keep still? Sarah.
Stop the music.
Play that, that's very good. Do you know by any chance who was the first person accurately to portray small insects? Most famously the flea, which is a very recognisable image, which is the cover of his book, Micrographia. He was a remarkable scientist, town planner. He has a law named after him of tension and springs. He was a contemporary of Newton and Christopher Wren. He was responsible for much of the town planning after the fire of London. And he used a microscope to see animals, including this little flea, and an ant. And there it is, which he was an amazing artist, as you can see. And he describes precisely how he got the ant to keep still. He said, "I gave it a gill of brandy, which after a while knocked him down dead drunk. He struggled, wonderful phrase this, for a pretty while very much."
Sounds like he was drinking
for a pretty while very much. Till
One for you, one for me.
Till at last, certain bubbles issuing out of its mouth, it ceased to move and remained moveless for a good while.
Remained moveless?
Yeah. Well, it was in 1665 the book came out, Micrographia. A gill, by the way, is a quarter of a pint.
Wow.
They can hold their booze, can't they, ants?
Yeah.
8 times their body weight.
But what was this man's name? Remember? Audience?
Remember.
Robert Hooke. Well, yeah, Ian Robertson shouted that. Ian Robinson is a physicist. That's cheating. But yes, Robert Hooke. And he suffered, as many did, although he was one of the greatest geniuses who ever lived. Isaac Newton was a really thoroughly ghastly man. And he particularly hated Hooke and had him erased from history, because anybody who wasn't Newton was just not good enough. And all the portraits of him we got rid of, because he was so powerful, Newton, because he was such a genius and so recognised around the world. And an artist named Rita Greer has set herself the task of creating more portraits of Hooke than there are of Newton to redress the balance. And here's one. It's based on meticulously researched likenesses of him. There are now 20 in the world, as opposed to 16 of Newton. So Hooke has won, although obviously Newton was a truly great man.
He was a bit of a wrong un.
I'm afraid he was.
A terrible egomaniac.
Total egomaniac.
Gravity.
I mean,
go to your head.
Yeah.
He looks like he's had a few gills of whiskey there.
He doesn't, doesn't he? It doesn't look as if he's had much sun.
Look, it's 2 little ants missing in a pub. Hello, Mr. I'm really I love you. No, I love you.
What's unusual about Bailey's pocket mouse?
Wait a minute.
Obviously, Bailey's pocket mouse doesn't look like that.
No.
If you take away the handsome features, that's it, Bailey's pocket mouse.
Is it some sort of desert mouse that doesn't drink or something?
Well, you're almost right. You're very close.
Oh, it does drink, but only Bailey's.
Yeah. That's right.
It shins up the bottle like that, and it brings its own miniature parasol.
There is a particular oil-bearing plant in Mexico.
Jojoba.
Yes! And it was thought for many years that the Bailey's mouse was the only one that could tolerate eating it, because it is basically disgusting to all other animals.
So they can survive on shampoo?
Well, that's the point, yeah. It has then become a useful oil. Since whaling stopped, it has some of the same properties as whale oil.
A lot easier to apprehend.
Yeah, than a whale. Exactly. You just get hold of a jojoba plant and it gives off this oil. But very few animals eat it, and very few animals are tolerant of it, because it's a disgusting oil.
Well, not if you're a Bailey's mouse, it's not.
Exactly. And it was thought to be the only animal that could eat it. And in fact, 3 others have since been discovered that are also capable of surviving.
Pete Burns.
Jojoba. Pete Burns is one. Sean Ryder is another.
And Bez, yeah. Your 3 go-to jojoba guys.
As an oil, it's a laxative, and so some people use it as a frying oil, so that when you fry things in it, it just runs through you. So it's just a good way of keeping on the diet. But mostly jojoba is used for...
Shampoo.
Your skin.
Your skin, shampoo, cosmetics.
Yes.
Who was it who made jojoba famous?
Billy Connolly.
Billy Connolly, exactly, did a famous routine about jojoba. What's that? What the fuck's that? Jojoba? Jojoba? He has a way of repeating words, Billy Connolly, that I remember many years ago, when for the first time he was elected president of Israel, and I got this phone call.
Billy Connolly was?
No.
Hey, I tell you what. Israel,
it's a phrased this the wrong way, but this particular person had been, and the phone rang, and it was Billy Connolly. He didn't introduce himself. He just went, Benjamin Netanyahu? And I said, what? He said, Benjamin Netanyahu? And I said, sorry, who is this? He went, Benjamin Netanyahu? What's that about? For fuck's sake, Benjamin Netanyahu? And he put the phone down. I thought, it was Billy Connolly riffing on the name Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah, and he would have done the same with jojoba. Jojoba.
The month before November, that was the joke, wasn't
that, exactly.
Sometimes Paul O'Grady phones me up and just goes, oh, then hangs out.
What's that? Get that? No. Stop it. No, don't.
Doesn't say no, don't.
Doesn't it?
No, that's Frankie Howard.
Oh, damn. So easily confused. Who built Britain's railways?
Look out! Look out! This...
Oh, Jesus!
I say,
By the way, I have my own train here. Look at that. There. Isn't that fun? And I have sweets which I can load on and deliver to any particularly interesting answers this evening. So there's an extra incentive. However,
this is turning into my perfect house. More toast, please.
Wallace and Gromit.
But you have first to address the question of who built our railways.
Richard
Branson.
Oh. No, it's not elephants. Large creatures were trained to trample down areas of Britain to be very, very flat. The railway mouse.
Well, you're right, actually. That because... Well...
Sweet. That's a sweet. That's a sweet.
You're right, actually, comma, in saying...
in saying
a big
words.
comma. In saying that railways had to be flat in the days when they were built in Britain, which were the very earliest days because we were the country that invented the steam locomotive and the railway system. And they weren't powerful enough engines to go up hills or to go even really round bends, so they had to be straight and they had to be flat.
Were they built by the wrong type of builder?
Well, at the time, they thought they were the much-mocked navvy. They were called navvies. They were mostly Irish.
Yes,
and they were an extraordinary example of man muscle. They really were. It took a year to train a navvy.
Whoa,
you fed them on meat and beer. No Dagenham smiles there, very tightly done trousers. And they...
A Dagenham smile?
The Birmingham to London track took 5 years to build and was the equivalent in work of building 1.5 Great Pyramids. It was an astonishing feat. Astonishing. These people were incredible. As I say, it took a year to train them. They lived on beer and meat, and they could outperform any other manual labourer. I mean, farm workers would be exhausted after a quarter of a day that the navvies could do.
I hear once that the Trans-Siberian Railway, which was meant to be a straight line, the Tsar got a ruler and he said, I want the railway perfectly straight, like this. And he got the ruler and he drew a line like that, but his fingers were over the edge. And in a couple of places, it did a big sort of detour like that. And he went, build me that, go away, you, like that. And they went, oh, we better build it like he said. So they had to build two very big curves,
That's a lovely thought again.
That's a lovely thought.
I'd always assumed that the first railways that was...
All very well. Hey! We've got a sweet.
Oh, let's get someone on the scene and go straight there now to see what's happening. It's absolute pandemonium, Stephen.
Oh, you had your sweet yet?
I haven't had it yet.
Oh, I'm not very good at being a back controller.
The right place. Can't be a virgin training, can it?
Hey. Why, for a sweet and a point, why are they called navvies?
Navigational engineers.
Oh, very good, very good. I'm so impressed.
Is that
right? They were responsible for digging what were called the internal navigation system, which was the canals. That's how they first came over, for digging canals. And then when the railway arrived, they did all the embankments and the tunnels and the extraordinary earth movement involved. There were horses were used for taking away the spoil, but everything else was human muscle.
Elephants as well, did you realise?
No elephants
There
were
were
used
some.
in the making of that railway line.
There were, just little ones. So London to Birmingham, or Birmingham to London, was the equivalent of what, 1.5 pyramids?
1.5 Great Pyramids, supposedly.
If only we'd put that to a vote, we would have had 1.5 pyramids. Didn't mean just a half a pyramid, yeah, we just thought we'd leave it.
We have the top half of the pyramid.
Well, that's a pyramid. That's a pyramid, the top half, isn't it? It's only if the bottom half...
That's what I would choose.
It's an odd platform. So just keep slicing your pyramids.
Can have a sweet. There you are.
Gentlemen.
Oh, no!
Thank you very much.
Curses.
Who invented, ladies and gentlemen, the telephone?
I'm not going to say it.
No.
I'm not going to say it.
No thoughts? No thoughts?
Aristarchus.
You're quite right. You're quite right. It's suspicious because the answer is certainly not Alexander Graham Bell.
Who's the first person to do 2 baked bean cans and a bit of string? Who did
Not recorded, as far as I know.
Valerie
Maybe.
Singleton invented the phone.
Valerie Singleton.
I know that Louis Daguerre, who invented the photography, typical bloke, see, he invented photography and a couple of days later persuaded a local barmaid to take her top off. Then you take a picture. That's blokes for you, isn't it, really? Yes. I've invented photography, this wonderful...
Well, it was ever thus.
Who invented the telephone, though?
Do you want to know? All right, I'll tell you. Antonio Meucci, Italian-born scientist, invented the telephone. He'd perfected it by 1871, couldn't afford the patent. But do you know what happened? It was being assessed for a patent in the offices of Western Union. It fell into the hands of a young Scottish engineer called Alexander Graham Bell.
Look at that.
Boo! He grabbed the chance and patented it in his own name. Meucci took him to court, but died before the judgment was given, leaving Bell to claim his place in history. What do we say to Alexander Graham Bell? Boo! Isn't that wicked? Isn't it as wicked as you get? Isn't that... It's wicked.
That's what we'd have said in Look at him. I don't even like the look at him. Look at him. He doesn't even know how to use it. He doesn't even know how to use the phone. You think you're going to slay this?
Back in the old... No, let's have respect for this. This poor man... This poor man deserves respect. A quite interesting thing that Alexander Graham Bell said. He said when he was asked what the future of the telephone was, he said, "I truly believe that one day there will be a telephone in every town in America." Who is this?
Eros. Yeah. Well, thank you for falling into our little heffalump trap there. It's actually the angel of Christian charity.
Eros.
Eros was the Greek god of love. This is the angel of Christian charity.
Why is it called Eros, then?
Because people mistakenly thought it was Eros because it had a bow and arrow. Eros is Greek for Cupid, and they thought it was like Cupid's dart. Originally, the arrow pointed up a particular avenue, and the idea was the...
Shaft.
It was bearing its shaft up Shaftesbury Avenue, which was named after Lord Shaftesbury, Ashley Cooper, the great...
I know who he was.
Tell me.
He was the bloke that passed all those acts in the 19th century to stop children having to work 95 hours a week.
Exactly right. It was a first, that particular statue. Do you know why?
First one on one leg.
No, not that. Material we're after.
Oh.
Bronze, copper, metal, steel, wood.
It's metal, certainly. Not wood. It wouldn't be the first wooden or metal statue, would it?
Aluminium.
Aluminium, there you are. Take 5 points, young David Mitchell. Very
I
good
know
indeed.
something about statues of military personnel.
Yes?
On horseback. If they're up on their hind legs, like that, it means they died in battle. And if they got one leg up, it means they died on service, but not in a battle. And if they got all 4 down, it means they just died after years later.
Is that really true? If that's true...
It's really true.
I shall have the little elves, the QILs. Oh, they're flashing me now. This is an urban myth and not true, it says. They're very quick.
It feels like everything that I know is wrong.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is that Socrates? Did he say that, or am I the first?
That's what comes when you acquire your knowledge by overhearing blokes in pubs.
Yeah. It is a general rule that if any fact given you starts with the word apparently... Why were the keys in a QWERTY keyboard arranged the way they are?
Now, this is... it makes it more difficult to type.
That's right.
And they wanted to slow it up.
They wanted to slow, you were saying, typists down. No. What it is the ones that most commonly are done together in English were put furthest apart, so they were less likely to jam. So, in fact, it was in order to allow you to type more smoothly and speedily, so that you didn't get the jamming of the keys as they came up
and hit each other.
Oh, I see.
Of course, these days, we don't use mechanical typewriters in that way, with the keys flopping up. That's how I learned to type. And...
Enormous typewriters.
That's tiny! I loved typewriters so much. I was obsessed with them.
Really?
Absolutely adored them, yeah.
Stephen?
Yeah.
Dinner's ready.
It's true. I once copied out a whole novel on the typewriter.
Just to practice?
Yeah, just because I enjoyed the experience.
Or were you going to try and sell it as your own?
Just, yeah.
While other people were getting on with their lives,
Yeah.
you were doing...
What can
It's
I tell
the sort
you?
of man you are.
I'm sad.
I'm so modest.
What novel was it? This is important.
It was Frozen Assets by P.G. Wodehouse. It was not one of his best-known novels.
Look! I'm sorry.
It's amazing you've come so far, isn't it?
Yes, what I like to do in my spare time. I write out Proust. Use my nail and I chip it into an old bit of flint.
You can't
No, get off,
it.
Nanny. I haven't finished yet.
Such a bully.
Mean. Sir, Fry's copying out novels again. Sir, chipping them. He's using a hammer and a chisel. He's chiselled out War and Peace on the South Downs. You really do live a different life to all the rest. You're not like us, are you? You're another You're not immortal. You're like sent from some other planet. You are the planet Aesthete. That's what you are.
I just thought that was normal.
No, you're not.
Oh, well.
No,
Anyway.
You're a freak.
Doctors, what's your diagnosis here?
He's fallen asleep on a stag do.
He was running a circus school.
The world's
Students
worst.
hated him. It's a party game, is it? Pin the sword on the nutter.
So this is possibly one of the earliest anatomical drawings for medics. He was known as the Wound Man. It's a medieval image, first printed in a book, 1491 in Venice. It's all the various things. So he's been injured, if you look there, with daggers, he's been shot with arrows, he's been lacerated, he's been stung by bees, scorpions, been clubbed in the head, bitten by a dog, scratched by thorns, blasted by cannonballs. He's definitely got plague and bad spots, and he appears to have a toad in his stomach. So it's, as it were, the contents page to the book.
What a shame, though, for a guy who obviously looks after himself and goes to the gym. To go down like that.
Yeah.
He eats paleo.
Yeah.
You know, he's really healthy. He thought he'd have a long life, and then...
All of those things happen to him.
He's a curious contradiction, though. He doesn't look after his appearance enough to remove a sword from his head.
No.
He does buy his underwear in agent provocateur.
Quite snug.
They are on the tight side, aren't they?
Yeah. Ironically, that's the most pain he's in.
Yeah.
It's gone right up the arse, that.
He's come back from a sort of Civil War reenactment, you know? So, how'd it go? Don't ask. Nick the armour. I've left him with pants. Look at this.
He's going to go to the doctor, and the doctor's going to go, I'm going to try something new, hear me out, don't poo-poo it straight away. It's called acupuncture.
They also had one for women. It isn't just the Wound Man. They had Disease Woman. There she is.
Is Marvel running out of superheroes?
It's Disease Woman. In the United States, they have an exceptionally complex system for categorizing injuries. It's called the ICD-10 system, the International Classification of Diseases. There are 140,000 detailed codes for different complaints, and they are extremely specific. So they include bitten by orca, forced landing of spacecraft injuring occupant, asphyxiation due to being trapped in a car trunk, burn due to water skis on fire.
That's really hard. How could that ever happen? That is so unlucky.
My absolute favourite, hurt at opera.
Otherwise known as the Abraham Lincoln.
Yes. The first attempt to categorise disease is in this country are the bills of mortality, and there was a man called John Graunt who was actually a haberdasher, but he was very interested in trying to work out the various things that people died of. So we're talking 16th century, and he put together these bills of mortality, and they're great. If you have a look, these are the different things that people died of. They are just gripping in the guts. 1,288 people died of that, gripping in the guts.
Grabbing.
Lethargy's already my favourite.
That's a good one. I can't bother.
That's the way I want to go.
Lethargy.
Too lethargic to live.
I quite like frighted. 23 people died frighted.
Killed by several accidents.
I just found dead in the street.
Yeah.
What? How did he die? I don't know, I just found him.
Some of these bills of mortality, they just had cause of death suddenly. That's it. That was sort of out.
Yeah.
Teeth and worms.
How do you die of teeth and worms? 2,600...
I tell you what, look, Wound Man would have read that and go, yeah, I've had that, I've had that,
It's a good way to earn bigger tips if you're waiting tables. But you've been a waiter?
Worked as a caterer.
You worked as a caterer? What were you doing?
Catering?
No, I'd done a job delivering cakes, and the recipient of the cakes had moved on from the time that they were being delivered, so I just had a vat full of cake. I just lived off cake for months.
This is a dream, Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a top tip, apparently, if you want to get a tip, is to
Yeah.
wear something unusual.
Oh.
Unusual?
Yeah. So, for example, waitresses with floral hairpins earned 17% more than people with plain hairpins.
Ah.
Yeah.
Would it be like if we were to, compliment the diners, or to sort of when they were just coming to the end of an anecdote, as you put the food down, you went, excellent story.
Well, so the whole thing about being funny, wearing a funny button apparently helps. Joke cards work as well. So French researchers supplied wait staff with jokes for customers, and 42% of those who used them were tipped compared with 25% of the staff who didn't.
There you
so
go.
the more people will tip you if you give them just a little bit of a laugh.
It's a bit of a laugh.
A bit of laugh, yeah.
Yeah, see?
There's-
I didn't get 2 points for that.
OK, three. Three
right.
points for that.
3 points.
3 points for that.
Yes.
I'm going to give you 2 points.
I don't need you
But there's also a thing called postural congruence, which is weird. So if you squat at the table and you get your face closer, apparently that can boost your tips. Touching customers, but in a,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Give him money to make you go away.
Go away. Let me cut it out for you. Let me cut it out.
I've got a
Here it
flat
comes. Here it comes. Choo-choo. Choo-choo. Open the mouth. Open, there comes the train.
I'm in one of Bill's dreams.
You're going to hit me with a fat bastard.
By reflex. There's also casual touch manipulation. So basically, if casual touch. So don't be unpleasant, don't be weird, but just very quickly touch somebody on the shoulder pad.
That's like, that's proper manipulative.
That's just invading someone's space.
Yeah.
And apparently the best thing to do is while you're putting the bill.
There you go. There you go. That's not right. That can't be right, surely. Well, thank you.
The time to do that, Bill, is when you put the check on the table.
That's when to
the
get
moment-
touchy-touchy.
That's the moment to distract from the amount. You just touch them at that. You're all right.
There you go, sir. Is service included? Don't say that.
It's service.
No, it's not.
I'm writing to a lawyer.
What is this,
Stick
boy?
chalk.
Stick of chalk. Stick of chalk.
It's chalk, isn't that chalk?
No, it isn't. It's what schoolmasters used to write on blackboards.
Well done.
What? Very impressive.
I did that with upside down writing.
It's not chalk.
What is it?
What's it actually made of?
Chalk.
No, it's not made of
It
chalk.
is.
It isn't.
It's a very, very old worm.
Chalk is calcium carbonate, isn't it? That's not calcium carbonate.
What is it then? It's some sort of powdery white substance.
May we take a closer look at it?
I've got another one for you if you really want.
What, in that
something
packet
like
of chalk?
gypsum or one of those?
Say that louder, please, Andy.
Is it something like gypsum, sir?
It is gypsum, Hamilton. Congratulations. Gypsum. It is. It is a chalk. It's the word we use for a thing for writing on a board. It's called a chalk, but it's not made of chalk. Chalk is calcium carbonate. Oh, it's a very good drawing of a cuttlefish. Yes, it is in fact hydrated calcium sulfate, which is gypsum.
Very unpopular mineral. People are always moving it on and saying we don't want, we don't want gypsum around here.
75% of all gypsum is used in building. In fact, apparently, a typical new American home contains more than 7 metric tons of gypsum. It's in concrete, cement...
Plaster?
But plaster, yes, plastering. Plaster of Paris is gypsum.
Yeah.
It's, why is it called plaster of Paris? Any thoughts?
Marketing, Pontier name.
They tried plaster of Brentford.
Yeah.
Ready to... lots of gypsum in the ground around Paris. Yes, chalk is calcium carbonate, as is limestone, marble, coral, the skeleton of humans and fish. The lenses of eyes are made of calcium carbonate, which is real chalk. And the indigestion pills, Rennies, settlers, Tums...
The lenses of eyes?
Yes, are made of calcium.
Are made of chalk?
Yeah. I know, it sounds weird.
Sorry to pick you up on that, but I think you made that up.
No.
Thank you for watching.